So main topic again for tonight is whether the bull run has ended the landed bull run has ended in Q1 of 2024, all right, by Huttons Standard Management Team. All right, and Willie Cheng, these are some of his accolades and tributes. So main thing is also, main thing for Willie has been a very prominent figure in the landed segment. And some of his accolades actually includes, two-time millionaire and 13 years consecutive top 100 annual producers. In addition to that, this is actually his fourth consecutive year bagging the #1 position in Huttons for the Associate District Director. Right, and really is a very familiar face in this landed market segment, being featured in many of the social medias, and not only that, also on major news platforms. So some of which actually he's been a recurring host, invite to Channel News Asia, and not to mention HProp. So if you are very interested to read a bit more about Willie's background, I think some of it actually features his journey from what was then skincare to actually landed. So it's something that still amazes me to today. Okay, so without further ado, I'll invite Willie to start off the evening itself.
Thank you very much, Sean. It's very kind to give a generous introduction. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our quarterly lender webinar once again. Like what Sean has said, if this is the first time, welcome. And if you have attended before, definitely a warmer welcome. Obviously, we've done something right or have provided some useful insights to you. Okay, so you have met Sean today. Of course, today will not be possible without the entire team's effort. So I have Michael in charge of District 16. I have Cindric in charge of 21, 23. Will in charge of my Central Region 10, 11. Jason in charge of District 13, 14. You have met Sean in charge of our Northeast region, 19, 20, 28, and Justin, who is absent today. All right, but nonetheless, we will present the part for him. Okay, so we'll be covering these main 11 districts, and why this 11, we will explain shortly. All right, so besides that, of course, this is the entire team. I'm sure you have seen some of them who have invited you, our team of lender consultants from HLD, or Huttons Lending Division. What is important here is basically the 5 QR codes here. You must have, a lot of you might have followed us and heard about this webinar from any of these social media portals. So if not, you can just screenshot this one or get the links from any of your preferred consultant. All right. So I think in social media, we are almost second to none in terms of activities and content. So besides just selling houses, I think we also attempt to educate our clients as well. And this lender webinar is just one of the several initiatives, but I think this one is the one that has been ongoing since I think 5 years ago. All right, what started from a report and it's now a quarterly consumer webinar, so as to increase interaction. Right. Speaking of which, like what Sean has said, if you have any questions, feel free. I think the panelists here are all here to answer your questions in case some are not answered. I says we have about 180 slides today, so a lot of numbers crunching. But beyond that, importantly, is to give us an insight or give us an understanding. All right, especially if you're a landed stakeholder, whether you're a seller, you're a buyer, even if a fellow agent, for just want to understand more about what this a niche but yet quite complicated, not easy to understand market entail. Okay. Like we said, we do this every quarter. The last one we did was in January. All our webinars will be actually recorded and uploaded on YouTube. So this is the previous one. You can screenshot this, scan this, and go and basically review, all right, what we have shared. That was, of course, a full year, a overview, 2023 results, and we also attempt to give an outlook of 2024 as well. Okay, that was quite a well-received one. I think now it's more than 1,000 views on YouTube, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so maybe just a quick poll for those who have joined us joining us for the first time. Is this sorry, shall I say, can you share with us whether you're attending this seminar for the first time? Okay, let me just see whether I can do the poll here. Give me a minute. Okay, so first one, let's just do a warm-up question, all right? Oops, sorry. Last one, pardon us. By the way, quick info for today. This is the first time we are doing this ourselves. Usually we have a management team from Huttons to help us. Okay, us from Huttons, yes. Okay, so first question, maybe you can share with us. Is this your first time or have you attended before? Yeah, so maybe 20 seconds or so. Just want to better understand. Today we're hitting almost 100 participants, which is quite good. By the way, our Thursday is our chosen night, as told also earlier. Friday, sometimes some people cannot make it. So let's see. So we're quite a number of 61%. I think it's quite new, right? More than about 61% are new. Thank you so much. Okay, so I hope the remaining slides or the content will continue to interest you all to be worthy of your time. All right. So let's start with, okay, the sequence. Somebody asked about this. So we'll be covering basically part one, part two, and last part. All right. So we'll cover total Singapore market first. And then we are going to dive deep actually now, almost for the first time with a different angle into the different market subsegments. Later I explain to you. Second part, which is will be covered by my entire team, all right? Here covering the various districts in the various region from Northeast, Central, West, and East, etc. Then last but not least, we have some time. We would really like to hear from you if you have any questions that we can answer online, okay? By the way, this is live, it's not recorded, so unlike what some of you think, okay? So we used this quote the last time, quite well received. So I thought I might repeat this again. All right, which is that there are a lot of numbers, which is true. One of the main downside of this analysis is that there are a lot of numbers there. Of course, it's our job to attempt to make it into something meaningful for you. All right, but still, I think importantly, you as a stakeholder, you have to write your own chapters in a sense. What do these numbers mean? What do our prediction means, or what has the past shown? I think importantly is you have to make your own decision. Does that mean that you have to take the next move fast? And what kind of move should you take? All right. Ultimately, this also comes with the disclaimer. I think we try our best to present information as accurately as possible. By the way, we can extract all our data from URA and SRX, and it's extracted as of this Monday, 9th of April, right? We're giving a few days for numbers for the first quarter to settle. This is, by the way, the reason why we don't never hold in the first week, because the numbers still change. In fact, I think as we speak, the numbers may still change a bit because of the way URA updates the data. All right, but as of up to 9th of April, will be the content that we have extracted for you. Okay, so there's a disclaimer made. So in case any misrepresentation, please do understand we are doing the best of our ability. Okay. All right, so are you all ready for the quarter one landed market? As what Sean has said, 2023, those, I think if you just entered the landed market, this will be very interesting. But those who have been following or you have been trying to sell your house, 2023 wasn't the best year in terms of quantity, in terms of transaction-wise. All right, I will show you in a while. So a lot of people are waiting with a bated breath, right? What's going to happen the first quarter of this year? So many things, so much expectations. There's a lot of pros, a lot of cons that's happening. Okay, so if you can still recall, this is just a recap, right? These are some of the recommendations. This was shared in January. Among, you can ignore the blue part, but the main prediction we had for this year, okay, is that the value will increase, all right? A lot more marginally, but about 1 to 3%. But we are pretty sure that volume is going to decline based on the market response, not just the 7 of us here, but then our entire team of almost 100 consultants are witnessing, all right? We expect that the volume to decline by 10 to 20%. Now, 3 months have passed. How true is this? How correct we are? I mean, we stay true to our word, any prediction that we have, and we also dare to also acknowledge as well, certain things are wrong, all right? But I think beyond just being right or wrong, I think the important thing is let's look at what is the reality. Okay, so this is a very important chart, as you can see here. If you are seeing this chart for the first time, let me take some time to explain. So this is basically the transaction volume and value of landed property market in Singapore. What is shown here is quarter by quarter, all right? So you can see Q1 here. You see the lines that represent value, and then the bars represent volume, all right? We combine both together. So if it's a green, means it's a positive from the previous month, red is a negative from the previous month. So from here, you can tell prices have been rising, and then until quarter three, until 2023 last year, we see a little bit more turbulence. All right, you can see here quarter one, quarter two went down, quarter three went up again, quarter four went down. We actually did the last webinar on a slew of basically a downward trend. All right, so that gives us a lot more uncertainty and not knowing how the year would rise. Important thing now is you can see both prices. Okay, this is the value. Now it has reached after reaching a high in quarter three of 1916 per square feet. By the way, all the prices stated here, this is based on per square foot, all right? Per square foot based on land, right? Per square foot based on land. And this data does not capture strata landed as the data states or as the definition states, only for landed properties. Because if you add in strata landed, it would basically dilute it because that's only based on strata space, okay? So with that understanding, you can see that now we're almost back to the 1009, all right, 1890, increase of 1.6%. Okay, it's very marginal. It's very marginal. Frankly, we started here not thinking, not knowing actually whether you go up or not. So now it's clear, it has gone up. And for volume-wise, now this is the surprising thing. Remember, we predicted year to go down by about 10 to 20%. But for quarter one, year on year, it has still gone up, right? It has still gone up. However, if you compare, because we have to adjust for seasonality, after all, Q1 in terms of volume-wise might be different, right? In terms of consumer behavior, whether people are traveling, etc. So to compare to 2023, quarter one, you can see that actually this has shown signs of weakening. It's actually, even if you factor in Chinese New Year, beginning of the year, etc., there's actually minus 8%. Okay, minus 8%. With this, what does it mean? Okay, is it clear enough that the market is going to improve or not? Okay, with this on the marginal, we're still hanging on a thread. Okay, but what we're going to do next is to dissect further, to explain to you, you can see a bit further. Just let me go further here. With this, is it enough for us to answer this question? Unlike previous webinars, we like to answer them the main topic, right? Address it at the end after we go through a lot of numbers. Now, this is the first time we're going to address this right at the beginning, okay? Right at the beginning. Before then, we dive into the various districts. So based on the numbers that we can see, is it clear enough? If not, maybe the next chart will help you, okay? So again, a quick recap on Jan 2024. We won't go into all the details, all right? Basically, we analyze many factors from economy, from interest rates, inflation, etc. All right, we will talk about versus bottom-up indirect price in that, price taming effect, and also performance of stocks, etc., etc. For this, please go back to the previous one. Now, the important thing is in the last 3 months, have any of this changed a lot? Frankly, answer is not much. Even interest rate that we anticipated has not really changed, right? Even as of now, we're still waiting for basically MES to decide when is it going to follow US Qs. All right. So, but with that, if you look at this, this is the annual charts. Okay, is it not obvious something is happening? All right, can you see that something is happening? If not, I'm going to digest this a bit further. All right, in the last 10 years, this is how we can summarize. By the way, our team, this is the 10th year anniversary of Huttons Landed Division. I think each of the lines and dots or bars that you see here, I think we've been through that. The tough times and the good times, by the way. All right, so okay. So in the beginning of the last decade, okay, what we call the post-BSD, buyer stamp duty, ABSD, pardon me, there's a missing letter there, right? Post-ABSD, we call this the cooling measure years, all right? With that, it's not just 1 or 2 years, it's almost 3 to 4 years of downward decline. We could also call this the turbulent period because you see prices going down, but volume up and down, etc. For those who are in the market or fellow realtors who've been in the market as early as I and my teammates do, you realize that those years is very difficult, right? To actually move any property, not just landed properties, right? Next, we have the en bloc rush years. This, by the way, these are our terms from our own experience and insights. Because even though en bloc, you may say, really, how come this is condos? What's got to do with landed, right? But what you've seen in those 2 years is that a lot of the recipients of this en bloc, the beneficiaries, actually a lot of them entered the landed market because then landed market prices, you can see from 2016, it was at a decline. Right, I can still remember you could actually buy a very nice, almost renovated semi-detached. We did one at Amber area. And guess what? If you're staying at Amber, 4.5 million. All right, 4.5 or 4.8 million dollars at that point of time. Okay, that of course caused a lot of rush. Imagine the recipients of these en blocs are also getting minimally, for example, 3.5 to 4 million. So that actually created a bit of a rush then. Okay. Thereafter will be the, of course, our very familiar pandemic or COVID period, where very unexpectedly, we have discussed this many times, explained many times, unexpectedly it has shot up, okay, shot up by double digit every year, 2020, 21, and even actually 22 in terms of value, all right? But this, in terms of transaction volume, okay, it actually peaked in 2021. I think it hit that year more than 3,000 units were transacted. After that, it became what we call normalizing period. Okay, sorry, normalizing in terms of basically the transaction volume, but we also call this the abnormal period, because usually if you follow the trend, when a transaction volume goes up, you will see the price goes up. That's understandable. But when transaction volume comes down, and we're not talking about just 5 to 10%, it's a very drastic drop, right? From 21 to 22, it was about 30 plus, almost 40%. And another year, almost 30%, all right, 20 plus percent. Usually, we expect price to come down. Unfortunately, or fortunately, or unexpectedly, prices continue to go up. All right, it's post-pandemic, and if you recall, those last 2 years is when high interest rate starts to creep into the market. Yet, okay, despite all this so-called market occurrence, the landed property prices still went up. And with this, we've been trying to analyze every quarter, the last 8 quarters, in fact, what is happening, why is this happening, and is this going to last? And as early as probably middle of last year, really expecting that this price growth is going to slow. And indeed, now for the first time in the last many years, or last 4 to 5 years, we finally can see that this is starting to plateau. Okay, it's starting to plateau. So does that answer the first question of is it the end of the bull run? I think at least within me and my team here, we are very sure. And in terms of overall general market, if you're going to landed market, if you're going to expect another more than 10% increase in value, is unlikely to happen. Okay, are you going to expect the same increase in volume that we experienced? No. Okay, but it's basically part of I think it's going to be a start of a very normal period like we experienced earlier in the previous decade. Okay, so that is almost a rhetorical question mark there. All right, so it's basically we think this is the time for the market to stabilize. All right, so the first question here, I think we're going to give 3 scenarios here. All right, so throughout this webinar today, is that we have on the one hand, if you say one hand is that it might be likely in terms that this is the end of the bull run, maybe the price may stagnate or even start to decline. Another possibility on the other extreme is that no, I think the price will continue to increase, okay, will continue to grow. May not be at 10%, but a good like 5, 8, or even 10, higher than our prediction at the beginning of the year. But with that just one chart, okay, in terms of the total market, I think we believe that it's going to still be maybe the 1.6 is not a prediction. 1.6 is based on what has happened, right? So it's probably likely to still be stagnant about the 1 to 3%, like we mentioned at the beginning of the year. Okay. Are you convinced by this? Is that the end? Or you think it's sufficient? If this is what we want to achieve by the end of the day, then this is the end of the webinar. But obviously, in HLD, Huttons Lender Division, we always like to dive into the details. We always try to dig and understand. Okay, it's not just going through the way we market houses and engage all our clients. Even for lender analysis, I think this is a very good opportunity for us to not just stop here, but to go a lot deeper. Okay. So how much deeper and what should we be looking at? Now, that's the very interesting questions. Okay, with this, I'll draw a reference back to our conclusion 3 months ago, which is this point. Okay, variation in performance across the various location, house type, etc., right, will become more and more startling. What we're trying to say is that unlike the last 2 years when everything moves, almost everything, every segment, every sector, every district, everything was going up. I think for a few webinars, we are just seeing basically one direction, almost a unilateral performance. But when the general performance starts to stagnate, that's where the differences will start to occur. All right, and some later you will see are pretty distinct. So to help us to address this, to understand this further, we're going to dissect the market in several ways, all right, in several ways. First is, I'm sure all of you are stakeholders in one of this. We're going to segment, basically understand the market first by terrace, by semi and detached, all right? Our BGC percentage there is basically the proportion of the transactions made up by each segment. So in this quarter one, 58% of all transactions are by terrace, followed by semi and then detached. This should not be surprising to you, right? In the way that the market is cut up, so to speak. But what might be more interesting is to see how these various segments perform. Okay, so this is the first sub-segment analysis I would like to draw your attention to. So if you take a look at this is basically for volume first. Okay, volume. Remember the total transaction volume for the market went up by 1%. Among this 1%, actually, Terrace actually dropped, okay, by not significant, by 1%. Semi largely unchanged, but still increased by 2%. And we see a very surprising uptick in terms of a take-up rate for detached by 12%. Okay, and again, if you apply the weightage there, because detached has a smaller weightage, therefore the overall effect is basically still positive at the end of the day. Okay, now this is volume. How about value? How about value, which is what we are trying to analyze or try to understand today, right? In terms of average PSF. So we look at this, the Terrace, okay, at the bottom now. Terrace, at one point, we reached almost 2,000 at quarter three, almost, this is at 1,997, almost 2,000 per square feet. It dropped again. Now we are almost back to the 2,000 mark, okay? So even though despite having a drop of 1%, Terrace went up by 3.7%, okay? In fact, it's the highest increase among all house types, followed by semi. Semi is the most consistent, 2, and then you have 2.8. And then detached now is going the opposite direction. Actually, the price has gone down, 10.7. That could be one main reason what has enticed some buyers to enter the market, all right? We have heard a lot about detached value also covers GCBs as well, okay? Therefore, you see that the transaction since last year has dropped a lot. So this might be the year of recovery for that, okay? For that, I will pass on to, I think, my teammates to explain further. But what does this mean? Okay, we've seen here, Terrace based on this price, this segment. If you were to see this chart having this performance, this gives us, I think, a certain confidence to say that, and of course, from our market observations as well, from our listings, from our weekly activities, we are pretty confident that among these three groups, Terrace will be the one that prices will continue to grow. So it's quite unlikely to say, no, I think that's the end of Terrace price growth, all right? And on the other side will be more detached, all right? Because you see detached prices going down by quite a lot. This is at 10.6%, may continue to decline. We have seen one reason is because you have a lack of entry or interest or entrant. Because a couple of you remember 21, 22, you have a lot of GCB movements, okay? A lot of these are actually new money coming from new citizens, etc. So when a lot of so-called, I think there was 1 year more than $1 billion was injected into the market, this will flow down to the normal houses like your detached, semi, etc. So if you have absence of that, this may be a deterrent to, I think, grow this segment, okay? Although later, quite interestingly, my teammate, I think, Will, who has very interesting insights on District 10, 11, we do some correction on this due to some error. Yeah, that's how good my teammates are. They can even detect errors in URL data. Okay, he seems to disagree, but I'll let him explain further on that, all right? Because a major part of the detached comes from 10 and 11. Okay, so based on this by segment, now sufficient for you, or do you want to dig further? Maybe if you're keen to know further, is there a response thing you can clap or something? Not clap, what do you call that? Hands up or something. But we'll do that later. Okay, I'm joking. You can see that there's still a lot of space in the chart, so we have a lot more to go. Now, another way that we can understand the market is by tenure. All right, Freehold / 999, they are combined together versus 99 years. Anyone of you here looking for the 99-year properties, right? Do you know that it accounts for almost 20%? Okay, a lot of people thought it's just, oh, maybe 5-10%. No, actually, it's quite a big chunk, right? Almost 19%. In fact, that value has holding strong, and later I'll show you some numbers. Freehold, 999 obviously is the majority of all transactions, about 81%. So would you like to make a guess how the movement goes? Okay, next chart, let me just show you. So here we're going to look at 99-year first. Okay, 99-year, you can see that the volume while hovering about 50 plus units per quarter, by the way, right? Per quarter, but the value has gone up by 16%, right? 16%. One main reason of this is, of course, you can see as 99, so as freehold properties prices go up, we mentioned this a lot of time, it will continue to pull up, right? The prices of 99. But the main reason for this is actually, this is, by the way, another reason why sometimes some of this sharing of insights are important, because by sharing the numbers, you might be misled. They think that, oh, all 99-year landed properties have grown by 16%. Not true, right? Because if you dive this further, you will start to know that this is the chart. Okay, maybe the next one later I'll show you under the another segment. A lot of this are actually caused by a new launch. Okay, a new launch of a property called the Poland Collection. All right, in District 28. Just one single launch itself. Okay, it's enough to cause, I think, I won't call it imbalance, but actually to pull the entire market up. Okay, I will share more on this later. Right, but by and large, I think as long as freehold continues to go, especially the terraces, because a lot of the price range is quite near compared to 99 years, so it will continue to pull up this segment. Okay, if you take a look at freehold, since they occupy comprises or made up more than 80%, so you can see the direction is quite similar to the overall market, except that actually the volume is a lot stronger. Okay, the volume is stronger than the overall market, and the value has actually dropped. Okay, so if you're owner or if you're a buyer of a freehold and 999 property, you might be surprised. Even the overall market has gone up, actually that was pulled up by the 99 years, right? And then freehold ones have actually suffered a small drop. Okay, 1948 is not the highest transacted so far in the last 5 to 6 quarters. You have seen 1990, you have seen 2000 even being registered as well. Okay, right? So with this, we think, okay, the one that has a lot more a potential to grow is the 99 years. Even if this launch, this Poland collection, by the way, is not fully sold out yet. There's still, I think, a lot of need to run. And but this will help to actually increase the what do you call this, the interest in that. If you have been looking at the $1 million flats, so do you know the irony is that the older the flats, of course, with the exception of some of this newly MOP 4-bedders or something like that, a lot of these 1 million ones are in older estates, for example, right? All the EMs and EAs, they are 50 plus, and the 99-year landed properties are a lot younger in a sense. They are like maybe 20 plus years old. So if you can pay $1 million plus, for example, for a maisonette, for example, 1,005 square feet, and you compare to the usable space, why can't a 99 landed, which is younger, continue to go up in terms of value, right? Okay, so but for freehold 999, we are a bit more cautious. We think maybe, all right, as of now it's minus 1.9, but I think it will still continue to grow, but maybe at a slower rate, so to speak. Now, next lender segment we can look at is very interesting. This is a bit more extreme or distinct because new properties compared to resale ones are only 7%. All right, so we're talking about the new and resale. New means those that you purchase from developers, and resale basically make up the bulk of the properties. All right. So 7%, more or less about the average, although it's slightly higher this time around. And this is where I'm going to introduce to you, right? New versus resale, what is happening here. So you can see for resale wise, this is 91%. So no surprise. Okay, the volume has dropped quite interestingly by minus 3%. Remember, total volume has gone up. So actually resale houses have come down and it was actually pushed up by the new ones. And value, however, has gone up by 2.2%. Stronger than the national average, right? So new houses, this is the interesting part. You can see that the volume has gone up by 171, almost 3 times. All right, almost 3 times. Of course, the numbers are small. It was 7 before, and then it becomes 19. Again, it's due to that launch. Later, I'll explain to you. All right. But because of that, actually, the price have gone down. Now it's being dragged down because it's after a 99-year launch. They're selling for average price of about 2,000 plus per square feet, so to speak. Whereas majority of the brand new launches now, just go to any property guru search new houses. It will be hard to find anything that's less than $3,000 per square feet, right? But because of the predominance or dominance of this new launch, it has dragged down or pulled down the new launch price. So our developer friends who are here as well, so don't be too worried if you see you don't need to drop your price to 2,142. You say, oh, really? I bought this plot at 1,006. How am I going to sell at 2,001? All right, for instance. Okay, so This is where we are for. Let's just go dive a bit further. Okay, this for last year, just give it an idea, right? So last year, I think there were about 90 plus, I think, sold, of which about 1/3 was made up by Poland collection. This is the one. Okay, you can see the rest are 2, 3 units, 1 unit, etc. You get 4 is really quite good. It's like 2 pairs semi-des. The rest are some individual semi-des or terrace, etc. But one lodge, all unit is one. Okay, the one Poland collection, it just basically pull up the entire market or pull down in terms of the overall price. Okay, so that's why last year when we analyzed 2023, we were a bit surprised as well because we were marketing, we even sold some. Why is it that it is below 3,000, right, per square feet? Okay, so for Q1, so this is even more obvious. Can you see? Just now I say it was 1/3 over whole year. Now in the quarter, out of 19 units transacted, 17 was made up by Poland collection. Our average price is slightly more than 2,000, about 2,002. Okay, terrace houses. So then you may say, oh, but really the other two are also below 2,000. But even the number 2 and number 3 that's here are pretty bad outliers, yeah, so to speak. So this Poland collection, they have addressed Poland View, for example. Next will be this Siglap Road. Even that is a unique property because it's facing Siglap Road. Pardon me for those who are staying there. It's not in an advantageous location, so it's unlikely to fetch the normal market price of 2,000 plus. Okay. Then the last one is this East Coast Terrace. Okay, one big plot that's being sold here. So because the larger plots, in fact, this one, we suspect there's something wrong also with this as well, because a new house will not be sold, because the entire plot is actually almost 8,000 plus square feet. So unlikely for a developer to buy this. So we will clarify on this side. Okay. But otherwise, the key thing here for you is to know Poland collection is the one, a very big outlier on this side. Can you imagine without Poland collection, we only have 2 new houses sold. Okay. So 2 new houses. Unfortunately, now there's some supply there. We see some movement, I think, in this month, but I think the first quarter, by and large, is still pretty weak. Okay, put out Poland aside. So with this, I'm gonna actually do a resale. You can see, I think we're pretty basically cautious about it. I think it will grow, but moderate. But for under the new segment, we even segment this by, if you include Poland collection, I think it's unlikely, right, to increase because of the PSF at the 2001, 2002. But if you're going to extract it and put it out, okay, this is going to be, I think, new launch prices now. Take a look, just because purely of the cost, all right, higher construction costs, higher, people used to think it's just construction costs. Actually, the administrative cost, the what do you call this, the operational cost of submission, etc., all these have gone up. All right, all these have gone up. If you speak to developers or builders, you will understand. Okay, with that in mind, it's almost impossible, I think, to expect any decline. So we think that new houses, if you take out Poland collection, is continue to increase further. All right, I think 3,000 is going to be a norm. We really have started to see 4,000 per square feet. And 3,000, but mind you, we're not talking about just, oh, let's go to Bukit Timah and can find. No, these are registered even in other suburban districts as well. I think some of which will be shared later. Okay. Right, is that sufficient? You want more? I saw some of this clap sign just now. So if you want to know more, please let me know. Gives us some sign of it. We have a lot of slides, they say. Would you like to know more? Is there other ways to segment this? Yeah. By the way, I know that a lot of other agents, realtors, even companies attempt to dissect or give similar analysis. I tell you, assure you, I think this is probably the most intensive, what's the word I would use? The most detailed, analysis, right? And the way that we have dissected the market for you to see. Because if we look at the number, we don't understand, we'll go deeper, all right? Because we expect that our clients will ask us the same, or we want to have more information, more knowledge, or more insights to share with you, okay? So with this spirit in hand, let me just share with you the next one, okay? All right, this is, I don't think anyone will dissect the market this way. What we meant is core districts and non-core districts. What do I mean by this, especially a first timer with us, is that we chose, in the core districts are 11 districts, okay? We rank all the 28 districts, the top 11 ones that make up almost 85%, right, of all transactions. We consider them as core districts, right? 10, 11, 13, 14, etc. The good thing is we'll be diving a lot deeper into these core districts later. And then you have the remaining districts, okay, which make up collectively only 16%, all right, only 16%. They're basically the more far-flung ones. You have those in basically in Jurong, you have at Pasir Ris, Changi, and maybe to the northern side, for example, and also Sentosa. Okay, right? With this, would you want to know how do they fare? Okay, let's come to this. Okay, so this is a chart. Again, if this is the first time, you can see all the districts there at the top. We even segment them to Central, West, etc. All right, Central region, West region. A lot of numbers here. Of course, you can be looking at the right side, but the focus of this slide here is not on the individual performance because my teammates is going to cover them later. I would like you to bring your attention to just these last two columns. Okay, core districts, non-core districts. This just by volume. Okay, remember volume went up by about 1%. Which is the district that is bringing up the transaction volume? All right, it's actually core district. So the main top 11 districts are still pulling the weight. They increase higher than the non-core districts, which actually dropped by 18%. Okay, how about value? All right, it's the same, the way it has been organized. So you can see here, total Singapore is 1.6 in value. This is where we see something a bit interesting, right? Because the core districts have actually only increased, or when I say only, is basically with respect to 1.6%, all right, by 1%, right, by 1%. Still respectable, at least it's not negative. Then what happens? That means the non-core must be doing better, right? Okay, these are the non-core districts, District 2 to 27, etc. Again, right side. If you need this, by the way, you can slow me down. You can screenshot. Anyway, this will be on YouTube, by the way. Right, so a lot of numbers, we want to just focus on what is important, easier to digest. So you can see the non-core districts have actually increased more, all right, comparatively. Okay, from 1,006 to 1,655. Of course, this being more far-flung, all these non-core ones, the prices are still lower than the core districts, but still seeing them recording a increase. I think there's quite something surprising. I wouldn't actually even say surprising because you realize with a lower price, now there's a lot of budget tightening, right? Interest rate is not exactly going down that much yet. And with people entering the market, of course, you go for, I think, the entry level ones, besides your clusters, besides your 99 years, the non-core districts will be an area where some buyers can consider, especially when now the transport nodes are a lot more well developed. You have a lot of this business, decentralization of the CBD, for example. These are going to make some of these areas also quite attractive as well. All right. So core versus non-core, you can see quite well that core, I think, is almost, I won't use the word stabilized. I think it's reached a saturation point. We don't think that the core districts is going to grow by another 10% for sure. All right. But the non-core districts, I think that is basically the dark horse here. All right. Things to note that I think in different areas, just now I mentioned Woodlands, there's a transport hub. I think this railway link, I think, to JB. Of course, you see again the rejuvenation of revisit of the rejuvenation of Jurong, and even in the east side as well, even up towards the east end of Changi, there's also a lot of development on the airport and also the nearby logistic hub as well. All right. So some of this, I think, is going to be very interesting. It's going to make these non-core districts a lot more attractive to stay in, and thereby pulling the demand and therefore, of course, the prices. Okay. Also, so for some of you who are already staying at the corner, for example, you're staying in District 16 already. Okay, at Tanah Merah, for example, Changi is not too far away. Okay, we just sold a property at this Loyak just in December. So I'm actually quite surprised by the number of upgraders looking to look for something that's like under $2.8 million there, right? Okay, shall I stop here? Do you think that's the end, or shall I continue with more analysis? We have now 120 plus. I think today is one of the best, I think, in terms of response. Shall I go? You want to understand more? Okay. Before that, let's do a quick poll. All right. Can you share with us? Let me just go to the poll. Is this question two? Okay. Can you share with us what price range of property are you looking at? Right. Whether you're selling or buying. Okay. Are you looking to buy or sell a property under 5 million, between 5 to 10 million, and above 10 million? Okay. This is the first time we're doing such a poll for this question. So let me see if I can share the results. Just maybe 10 more seconds. You want to make a guess, which is the most popular category? or maybe those who have clicked, you want to know in terms of total transactions, which of this price range occupies the biggest? Make a guess. I was a bit surprised until I did. I have some ballpark numbers in mind until we do the analysis. Okay, let's end the poll. Let me see whether I can share the results. Hold on. Can you all see the results now? Can you all see the results? Yes. Right. So under 5 million, it's about half of you. 40% will be 5 to 10 million. Above 10 is 10%. All right. I don't know. Do you think you represent, I think, the total market? Let's take a look. Right. So 10, 40, and 50, right? Very easy. So over here, one thing that is quite correct, you can see above 10 million, the total market now is about 11%. Okay, so there's, I think, the right representation here. 5 to 10 million is actually only 27%, but we're about 40%, right, of all respondents here. And below 5 million, actually about 60, makes up about 60%, 62% of all transactions, okay, in quarter one. Is something new to you? So how does that, what does that mean? All right. Would you like to know the difference? Just now we understand by tenure, right, resale, etc. Would you want to know? Because if you are, for example, shopping for a house that's under 4.5 million, do you really care what's happening in the above $10 million house? Right. District aside, district aside. So this was a question that's always in our mind. So therefore, this year we started to dive into this and give you this insight. And all the participants here should be happy to know. Let me just click on this. All right. So this is the transacted price range. You can see by the different, this is with 3 to 5 million. All right. We even split them up into by million. All right. You can see the percentage here. So this is 62% and then followed by 27 and we have 11% here. Okay. So the average PSF, this is interesting. So can you see now? Let me just click on this. You see a pattern? Right, the one where PSF is increasing are not the high value properties. They are actually the low value properties. This may contradict what I said earlier, right? Really, you say a lot of people budget high, why are they going for? Well, having people going for lower or more lower price and more affordable price does not mean that the PSF will not go up. Okay, does not mean that the PSF will not go up. In fact, the smaller the property, right, the higher the PSF. This is the same. Is the same for condos. It applies the same for landed properties as well. But these numbers are so stark for us, too stark for us to not ignore. Okay, that you can see that the lower quantum prices now, lower quantum houses are a lot more popular in terms of transaction volume, and of course the price have increased. Okay, so if I were to lump up, this is an approximate because it's a bit more complicated to go into individual segmentation. So we will just lump up this approximate. So basically the under 5, the price increase has gone up about 7.1%. The 5 to 10 million it has actually dropped by -7%, and above 10 million has actually dropped by -10%. With this, some of you might first thing come to your mind, of course, linked to the popular notion of, oh, money laundering, etc. I think it goes beyond that, right? I think it goes beyond that because some of the houses sold were older. Again, later my teammates will come. There was some errors in some of the things. Actually, the PSF is actually slightly higher than that. But generally, like I said, we still sincerely believe if you don't have any transactions above the $50 million mark, I think this part you will not get the additional benefit of so-called incremental capital into this injection, right, into this segment. Okay, so until that happens, until as of today still, I think the GC market is still very muted. All right, interesting to you? It was to us. So if you put under the price range, so we still feel that the under 5 million ones, you will continue to see a rise in PSF. Okay, I know most of our buyers we are managing now. Some of you are out there also. What is this Terrace 2003 per square feet, 2005? This is not even Bukit Timah, etc., etc. In a sense, I personally just sold Terrace at Teluk Kurau, about 2,000 square feet. Okay, was sold within like 3 weeks. Okay, was sold within like 3 weeks. So was sold at 19 something per square feet. So original condition house. Not something renovated, etc. You still need to put in money, right? Even that is at $2,000 per square feet already. Okay, and there'll be a lot more examples later when my teammates share with you. Okay, so but for the upper ones, we feel is less likely to happen. Okay. Again, are we satisfied with this? There's still some questions in the head when we're doing analysis, so we decided to dig further. But before that, okay, we just want to highlight what we have shared earlier are all landed. Okay, 100%. All the data you saw just now, the 280 plus 88, or 288 or 89 transactions are all here landed, right? There's also Strata landed. I know some of you are looking for Strata landed, trying to sell Strata landed. So we'll put them together in the whole landed so-called environment. A Strata landed takes up about 16%, right, of all transactions. So although we don't lump them together because of the different terminology of PSF, but I think it's good for you to also understand as well. So I'm going to go quite quickly onto Strata landed. Strata landed, you can see prices are still hovering at 900 plus per square feet for many, many quarters. It's dropped by 4.3%. 50 plus units, again, it could be affordability as well. My team just sold one at Bukit Timah just last month at Lim Tai Si. So one is detached, right, but still under Strata. So we have more and more buyers. I think that one we sold 5.3 million. Will correct me if I'm wrong. So there's a typical buyer with 5.5, 6 million budget. They cannot buy a proper landed anymore, all right? Cannot buy land, so they just go for cluster. Again, it's affordability, so-called occurrence, okay? Okay, so with Strata landed, we don't think this is likely to grow much further. It's been very stable. And also don't forget, Strata landed is based on strata space, not land space, okay? While this pool buy, as long as it sustains, I don't think there'll be a lot of changes and definitely not going to rise too much in value, okay? By the way, a lot of these Strata landed are also 99 years, also 99 as well. So there's also this lease decay issue, okay? Okay, you may think this is the end. I think this is almost as good as everyone's analysis of how. But now I'm going to ask, what if we look at quantum, okay, instead of PSF? What are we trying to say? All along, we have been analyzing numbers based on PSF because instead of, by the way, if you refer to reports on the market by Straits Times, I think NUS, they did this PPI, price index. That's based on median price. Okay, we decide not to use that to analyze because a median price to use a buyer or seller doesn't mean as meaningful as PSF, because PSF you can just multiply by your land size and then it translates into a number, all right? And then you can segment it in many, many different ways. Okay, but what if even just down those numbers, 1,009 per square feet, 1,006 per square feet for the outside areas, for example, for the non-core, what does it really mean to what? But really, yeah, I don't care about 1,000, I just need to care about quantum, okay? I hope the next few slides, again, the first time ever we're doing this, shed some light, okay? So this one is no longer mutually exclusive because a market can be looked at from a per square feet perspective or even an average price perspective. Okay, not exactly half-half, basically the occupies together. But if you're to segment the market, it'd be very interesting. The first way we're going to look at it, it will be the same, core and non-core. All right. Now this chart shows the various districts. Okay, but instead of putting the PSF, we put the average price transacted. Okay, so I just give an example. So in the first one, District 10, the average price transacted in District 10 in last quarter is 11.2 million. This quarter is 12.1 million. All right, average price increase has gone up by 8%. Okay, the size was 5,000, now it's 5,007, for instance, has gone up by that. Right, because you say, oh, I'm not upmarket Bukit Timah, but let's say you are more mass market, you are in the most popular district, District 19 now. Okay, one way to read this is an average price of a transaction of a house sold in District 19 used to be 4.5, now is at 4.4. The size has actually dropped from 2006 to 2002. Okay, all these have a lot of implications. Again, I'm not going to go into the different districts, etc., but you can see a price point because a buyers coming here recently, I just shared my team. Budget of 5 million. I want to look for 5 million. Want to look for something in District 10, 11. It's not possible. You look at the average price transacted, right? So instead, then you go down and go to the outskirts, so to speak. All right, but this gives you an understanding of how premium a certain district is. But the attention I want to draw to, again, you can screenshot this, analyze the different districts. That's not the whole purpose here. What I want to draw attention to is, remember the PSF that went up and down? Now you look at the last line. Okay, So just now we have 1%, 1.6%, right? Also the size, the quantity. But if you look at the average price, actually in Singapore, it has gone up by the PSF higher. So average price or average transacted price of a landed property anywhere in Singapore, regardless of district, regardless of house type, regardless of tenure, etc., has actually gone up. It was 5.5 million, now it's 5.7 million. All right. So if you have don't have 5.7 million, it possibly basically means you can't buy any house here in Singapore, right? But importantly, it has gone up by 3.3%. And very interestingly, also the size has gone up. Okay. Right. The size has gone up from a 3,000 square feet average. Now people are buying an average of 3,200 square feet. Right. The price has gone up. Okay. So the quantum has gone up. PSF may have increased only slightly, but the quantum has really, really gone up. That's why sometimes some people say landed is really the world of the rich, right? So whatever economy rules, whether unemployment risk, whatever, it does not affect the rich. And somehow you can see these numbers at least true for this quarter. Okay. So if you go further, this is total Singapore. How about the core, main core? The core districts, okay, quite consistent, is 3.5 and 6%. Very, very consistent. Now you see, just now we saw the reverse. You saw PSF actually going up, right, for the non-core. But in the non-core districts, actually the property price have gone down. Like I said, some of them may go to that because they're more affordable. From 4.3 now is $4 million. On average, you can buy a property in these non-core districts, right? Minus 7.5. The size has also gone down by 5%. Okay. What does this mean? Okay, now we can introduce a new element. Just now we are at the top. These are the PSF level. Okay, we're given a summary here. If it's on an average price level, we think, okay, total market is quite stagnant. We still think it's going to be quite stable, plus 3 point. It's at 3.3 now. It doesn't change our perception that the overall PSF, whatever, will increase, all right? But the core district will give us more confidence that the core district is actually gonna, can you see here, core district in PSF was +1 only. But based on average price, we believe that the average price of a house in core district will continue to go up, right? Conversely, at the non-district is going to likely to stay the same or even decline, right? So again, this is different from PSF. You saw one bar here, you know our style, you know there's more to be reviewed, and I'm going to review the next slide very soon, okay? Again, the 50, 40, 10% of you might be interesting to know. Would this be more relevant to you besides PSF? Now you have below $5 million. Would you want to know how much of is the average price of a transaction that's below 5 million costs? Yes, no? I would, if I'm going to enter the market, okay? So let's see. All right, similar table, but instead of PSF, now we put price and size. So let's choose one to highlight. Okay, let's take a look at the 4 to 5 million. Let me see which one's the highest percentage. Quantity, I can't remember. I think it was the 4 to 5 million. Okay, let's say here. All right, 4 to 5 million. Are you following my cursor? So let's take a look at this. So last quarter, average price in this segment was about 4.45. Okay, good news is now it has come down. I mean, good news for the buyers. It's gone up by about 1%. Okay, if you go to the higher mark, the 10 to 12 million, quite stable. You notice this average price doesn't go up as much, except for the 20 to 50 million. But by virtue of the fact that the price range itself is very wide, obviously we expect more fluctuation here. All right. So you can see here is basically the reverse. So the average size have actually gone down. Okay, average size have actually gone down for those under 5 million. You may still have 5 million, but you realize you probably cannot afford to buy something as big as before. All right, the price have, the size have generally come down. But those who have budget 5 million and above, especially those above 10 million, you can see that they're buying bigger and bigger properties. All right. Although PSF is low, but the price of the size has gone up. Okay, if you classify these three together, this is about plus 1.5%, this is 0.1, and that's 10.8%. Okay, it's clear to you. Oh, by the way, it should not, this highlight should be on the price, pardon me. I will correct it hopefully in time for the video. All right, so this bar, the rectangle should be on the average price. Right, so you can see here, below 3 million, the price has actually gone up. What was 2.3, now it's 2.42, 7, 1, and 1. So average of this is about 1.5%. Then this minus 0 point is almost flat, is this category. And then the above 10 million has gone up by 10.8% on the left column. Pardon my error. Okay. Is this interesting? All very interesting. Well, if it is to us, I hope that this provides some very interesting insight for you. Okay. Right, so this summarizes basically what we feel, or to answer the question, is it the end of the landed bull run? Instead of just telling you, yeah, maybe. Right, on the total market, we attempted to share with you and split it up by various segments so that you can find yourself relevant in some of this, or at least because it's just one data point. If I give you a few more, you could be buying, for example, a $5 million property around here, looking at a core region and maybe looking at resale, for example, all right, and looking at freehold. So with more and more indices, more index points, I think it will help to give a better picture on the future direction. All right, going forward. Okay, with this, is that the end? Obviously not. Otherwise, I won't have my team here who are the respective experts in their various regions and districts they are in charge of. Okay, so just now we're talking is still on a holistic market level by various segments that is devoid of comparison across districts. Now we're going to go into the various districts, okay, and regions and go for a very, very deep dive down. All right. By this, you can see these are the 11 districts, right, which are the core regions that we said, and they are also grouped into the northeast, east, central, as well as the west area. Okay. So before we continue, perhaps you can share with us which district are you the most interested in? Let me just go back. Can you see this? Maybe I clicked this earlier. Okay, maybe because I clicked there earlier has been launched. Okay, pardon me, because I clicked this by mistake earlier. Doesn't matter. We will just keep us in suspense, but we can continue. All right. So again, I'm going to introduce my teammates here. They will start one by one to share with you, starting with Northeast region. Okay. And with that will be District 19. I'll invite Sean, our District IC for District 19, 20, and 28 to give us. Sean, your time, please.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Willie. Hope you all have enjoyed the first segment. All right. So the first segment actually comprises of the overall market analysis, the way that we actually dissect the data to kind of make sense to cater to most of landed buyers and sellers. So in this segment, actually, we'll go more into detail. So taking in mind that overall market trends does not depict the district level data, all right? So for how we classify our zonings for our landed market, it's a bit different. We actually group them together similarly for the other districts to qualify the number of transactions in the area. So for example, for District 19, you can see over here, those of you who are not familiar, the bulk of the transactions actually takes place in Serangoon Gardens. And then we also classify Kovan together with the Charlton Aroozoo area. All right. So as to mark as many similar landed estates into one as possible. So for District 19, actually, this is one of the two very exceptional performers in Q1 itself. So quarter and quarter, we see a very significant rise in terms of the overall transactions. All right, so it grew by a whopping 19%. All right, so this is a far cry from some of the other districts which are actually recording a negative figure. And for the average value itself, overall has grown by a 6%, all right, with semi-detached and detached actually coming down, but for terraces actually going up a very comfortable more than 10%, closing into almost $2,000 per square foot. All right, so it's definitely one of the strongest segment. If you're staying there, looking to purchase a house, it's important to understand more into detail the micro scenario within the district itself. Okay, so terraces actually perform the best for this quarter, from a 33 to 41 transactions, right? So in terms of volume, it's a very significant growth of 24%. And likewise for the value, all right, it's actually a 10% growth. So something more to share is that out of this 41 units transacted, half are actually below 2,000 square feet in terms of land. So it's a very comfortable range between, half are smaller than 2,000, half are actually larger than 2,000. All right. But that being said, the average has already crept up to close to $2,000 PSF. Okay. And the third thing is, for the first time in a few quarters, usually District 19, we still register several larger transactions in terms of volume. So those above 8 million, but for the first time in a while, we have actually zero, all right? No transactions in quarter 1 for this larger quantum. So in the previous webinar, we were discussing like, where did these buyers go? So for this quarter, actually, we see a reversal. So District 19, although we have no transactions above 8 million, we do see some spilling over into districts 20 and 28, which I'll cover in a bit. Okay, and likewise for the detached itself, in terms of the lower transaction, definitely will reflect, again, the prices here, we won't be too concerned, definitely because of the, basically the detached sizes do vary by quite a bit. And definitely for there, actually you can see that the volume and the kind of quantum will definitely affect the average prices. Right, but that being said, you can see actually the smaller detached being transacted 7 over million, and definitely for their average PSF to actually tank downwards, right, a negative 33%. So if we take a deeper look in terms of the price range chart, we actually see two differences, right? One is actually on the lower spectrum in terms of the PSF. So those we're actually noticing a drop in terms of those that are transacting below 1,005, right? There's a gradual shift downwards, all right? And on the other spectrum, we actually see a very stark increase, all right, from 23 to 32% in terms of the PSF. And in fact, there are some that are transacting above 3,000. So it doesn't mean that you see transactions above 3,000, your house is going to be worth 3,000. Let me show you more in detail next. All right. So this re-emergence of this 3,000 PSF usually will correspond to brand new houses. All right. But would this be a new norm for brand new houses to be able to transact above 3,000 PSF in District 19? Okay, so these are two examples for the $3,000 PSF club. Okay, so pardon the left side, we actually don't have the full details for exactly this unit. We only know this is a 6-bedroom. Land size is actually below 2,000. On the right-hand side, it's even smaller. Right, this is under 1,004 square feet in terms of land. So definitely in terms of affordability, you can notice that both of them actually transact 5 and 4.5. Land size, although being small, these are actually in the Kovan area. So interestingly, for terraces, for Serangoon Gardens and Kovan, actually for this quarter, we see a almost equal strength in terms of the number of transactions. And definitely in Kovan, the benefit is that you do have a 3.5 story. It's a 3.5 story landed zone as opposed to Serangoon Gardens 2.5. So one way to look at it deeper is really based on the built-up area. Right, so based on the built-up area, 4,008, you are transacting at 4.5. It sets you still under about $1,000 per square foot for something that is brand new. All right. And moving on to District 20. So 20 has been one of the focal points for the Northeast for a long time, mainly if those of you are familiar with it, includes Sembawang Hills. This is not in Sembawang, this is Jalan Leban area, but it's a very fragmented district whereby there are many good schools littered along the way. So in Sembawang Hills, we have the St. Nicholas Girls' School. Moving downwards, we have Ai Tong Catholic High. So the disparity in terms of the preference for houses or the demand for such places, especially let's say like Clover Pemimpin or Thompson Garden, there's quite a bit of fragmentation. So there's a joke that I always share with my buyers. Every 1 km you go further down to Bukit Timah, your prices goes up, right? And it's very evident in this quarter. So District 20, for quarter 1, interestingly, we are leveled. There's no gain, no loss in terms of transactions, but we actually see a subtle change in terms of the house types being transacted. So still very healthy growth, robust demand supply for terraces, but semi-Ds finally, after the longest time, we have seen a resurgence, all right? So from 3 to 5 units transacted. Okay, so it's a pretty healthy growth, especially for terraces, still able to maintain at that range of transactions. Okay, for terraces itself, across the board, everywhere from the areas that we segmented, the average PSF across all, especially for Sembawang Hills area, we have seen a steady rise. And for the first time ever, almost everywhere in District 20 is going to be benching to the 2000 PSF mark, right? So one quick comparison. So every quarter is interesting for us to analyze and take the actual transacted units to better analyze the kind of differences between them. So from here, left and right, we have 2 units transacted in Sembawang Hills Drive. Notice also all the land sizes are similar, just slightly above 2,000 square feet. All right. So for Sembawang Hills Drive, usually the terraces will transact in the range of 3.2, but now we have a new record holder for original at 3.5, as opposed to somewhere in Venus, further down the road, closer to Thomson Plaza. Similar land size, you're able to get this kind of pricing closer to 4 million, 3.8. So the range, has it decreased, or is this unit probably going to be in one of the outliers? Okay, and semi-D I was mentioning earlier. So despite the volume increase from 3 to 5, what is very interesting is there is zero transactions in Sembawang Hills Estate, where it's predominantly the highest transactor for all kinds of houses in District 20. So for the first time, we are seeing actually for 2 consecutive quarters, majority of, in fact, all the transactions for semi-Ds are towards the southern portion of District 20. Okay, and these are some of the semi-Ds that have transacted. So interestingly, again, it's a mixture. So some are original and some are recently renovated. So again, what's really interesting, you can see the disparity in terms of the price range. Ignore the one on the right, because this is a 99. So technically, there's only 4 transacted house semi-Ds in District 20, 2 of which are actually original condition. These are buyers that are actually looking to rebuild. The other 2 are move-in condition. So what is very commonplace with all of this is the proximity to the amenities and also the good schools, right? With the exception of Mayflower, whereby this is one of the very few zones that is a 3.5 story. Despite this only managed to back 1,007 PSF. So actually, this is the lowest performing across all the semi-Ds transacted in Q1. Right. And lastly, in terms of the PSF wise, we see actually a sharp drop in transactions above 2005 PSF. So actually this can be accorded to the terraces. If you recall last quarter, there was actually a very huge demand, huge number of transactions in Thomson Gardens, whereby the terraces are actually very small in land size, some of them even just slightly under 1,000 square feet. So based on the current about the 18 transactions, okay, only 1 was transacted below 1,000 square feet land size, and there is actually no brand new transactions for terraces in District 20. So it's not surprising that prices reflected over here will be more prominent of those resale units. Right? And finally, coming on to District 28. So District 28 has been a constant struggle for myself to actually pull out data that is relevant because of the ongoing pollen collection. The figures will definitely be skewed. So as long as there will be transactions from there, I will actually be extracting out the data. So this is purely resale values. So this is probably the 4th consecutive quarter for resale in District 28, where we see a drop in terms of the transaction volume. So from 21 to 17. But from this, actually, we notice 2 very stark differences. One is definitely the fall in the number of terraces transacted. So District 28 has always been historically a place that, it has better value relative to the rest, all right? And terraces actually usually dominates the kind of transactions solely purely because of number of houses in the area, more terraces than not. But actually now we can see it's actually even fewer than semi-Ds, right? So we can finally see a rebound in the volume for larger homes, and definitely terraces. If you are existing terrace owners over there, you do know that there's many, many houses on sale, but yet there's only 6 per quarter, which is only 2 a month. Yeah, in terms of the terraces PSF, okay, for this quarter, we actually see an overall drop of over about the 13%. This is also in lieu for the number of transactions, very few transactions in Luxus Hills, and even the one that's transacted is actually a corner terrace. The price was actually lower than 4.3 million, all right? So really it's a time to really consider that, houses in District 28 for terraces, what kind of houses are being sold. Okay, so from here we have a more deeper analysis for some of the terraces, all right, which have been transacted. So definitely you can see a resurgence of the demand for corner terraces, but all of them transacted actually under 4.4. Right, land sizes, some of them are quite comfortable, already in the 2,000 plus to 3,000 square feet. And the value for terraces seems to plateau at 4.2, max around 4.3. So this was the one that the Seletar Green View. This is a Luxus. It only managed to transact at 4.15, right? Setting it to be actually one of the lower transacted units in Luxus Hill area. All right, the rest are actually in more or less moving condition, but this is the kind of PSF they are rendering. Okay, semi-Ds. So for the longest time, there were many brand news in District 28, many of which semi-Ds and detached that remain unsold. But Q1 has seen the reversal of that. So one semi-D was transacted brand new in District 28. And you can see that most of them actually the average land size is on the higher side, all right? So in line with some of the volume, the quantum over here. So usually for District 28 semi-Ds, they are ranging from 3,005 to 3,007. But for this round, we actually see some very large semi-Ds being transacted. Okay, these are some examples. So with the exception of the one on the bottom left, which is also for a brand new, is only transacted at 2,007 PSF, right? Whereas the rest, everything is falling short of, other than the one at Tari Payong being a very renovated moving condition. The rest are actually in the low thousands, all right? Most of them are in original condition. So the original condition price range 1,000 to about 1,250. And lastly, detached, all right? So detached for District 28. So this is where the higher quantum I was mentioning in District 19, whereas there's a lack of in District 19. It seems that it may be that the buyers are actually looking towards District 28 for better value, right? So these are 3 transacted detached in District 28 in terms of the PSF, even for a brand new one in Jalan Kayu being 3.5 stories. By the way, this one you can park 7 cars. It managed to transact at under 1,008 PSF for something that's brand new. So when you scale it downwards towards Niram, which is the original condition house, right, this is only able to get about 1,000 PSF, and something more renovated and rebuilt before is only hovering around 1,003. So all this is really, there's a correlation between the quantum and the PSF. So the gap is actually pretty stark in District 28. Okay, with that, I'll hand over to my colleague Will, who was going to cover Central Park.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, here today I'm going to cover D10 and D11. Here are some of the highlights. Again, Bukit Timah sector, we actually divided the place into 5 different zoning. So we got a 6 avenue zoning, Bukit Timah, Holland, Tanglin, and others. So what is most interesting, the chart I'm going to show you right here, you will see that bulk transaction happens between Bukit Timah itself, mainly because of the school proximity, especially schools like Nanyang Primary, that give you a bigger pool of buyers and a higher chance to sell within the shortest possible time, because bulk of the family household who are looking to stay near Bukit Timah are mainly due to school. Okay. Upcoming, and the next one I'm going to highlight is actually the GCB performance. This year, Q1 surprised me quite a fair bit. 4 units was being transacted compared to Q4 last year, 2023. And if let's say you're going to compare based on Q1 this year and Q1 2023, you will see and there's a significant increase in the number of houses that's being sold. Okay, it's almost 100% increment. Okay, while pricing and PSF continue to rise. So the average price for 2024 quarter one for GCB hovered somewhere around 25 million, a good 23 or almost a good 24% increase, while the price has literally crossed the $2,100 PSF mark. Okay, which is a very healthy growth, about a 12% increase. Okay, this also shows you that the demand for biggest house type on the rise. Okay, next I'm going to show you the rest of the semi-detached for the whole year since 2023 quarter one to 2024 quarter one. As you can see, price gradually increased. Okay, but what I'm going to highlight to you, let's take a look in the blue. Okay, 2023 quarter three, the house average transaction was looking at close to 9.8, or in actual is 9.788 million, while quarter one this year, you are looking at almost the same, a slight drop. Okay, so this is what I'm going to say. Has the price or the value stabilized? Same goes to the PSF. In quarter one, the performance was about 2,549 PSF, while this quarter, Q1 to 2024, you will see a slight dip in terms of average price, but again, it's over about 2,528 PSF, which is not too far away. Okay, so this is where today, if you spot any property within the 2005, which is about 9 mil or even less than 9 mil, is something that you should take note of. Okay, it will probably be the value buy right now. Okay, before the market start to pick up. Okay, where else for transaction? Quarter four last year, most of the houses are hovering between the 7 million to 15 million mark. But this time round, you see bulk of the houses transact above the 8 million, okay, to more than 20 million, based on what we showed this quarter one this year. And in terms of PSF, just to highlight, okay, the one that I label in green is the 99-year leasehold property, where the one I highlighted in blue is the freehold and 999. You can see that for 99 leasehold, the PSF, he is catching up. Okay, he's catching up with the price. Okay, compared to the leasehold price is catching up with the freehold price. Okay, of which one of unit that has transacted at I think it's Holland is at somewhere 1750 PSF. Okay. So, but again, we also notice that fewer houses are transacted crossing the $3,000 PSF mark. Okay. This is for D10. Next, I'm going to show you D11. Okay, D11, again, we also segregate the area into a couple of different sectors. Down here will be 4 sectors, all stated here: Swiss Club, Novena, and Daniel, as well as others. But which I'm going to highlight today is, okay, in terms of value, in terms of number of houses, they dropped quite a fair bit, okay, compared to quarter 4 last year, okay, by 21%, but even compared to quarter 1 last year, you are looking at 31%, okay, of which, okay, this is a decline in terms of okay, in terms of this okay, the average price, okay, for all house type, basically you can see prices tallies quite similar to what I showed in D9 the earlier, the D10, the chart earlier, the semi-D. So prices down here hover between the 9 or close to 10 million mark. It has dropped significantly compared to last quarter where it was 13 million. But again, PSF have grown significantly, so inching closer to $3,000 per PSF, which is a 16% growth. Okay, next, just to highlight, more houses in Q4 last year was hovering somewhere about 10 million to 20 million, but this year, bulk of the transaction happens between the 10 million to 15 million mark. Okay, does this really show that this property market is starting to slow down? Okay, wait till the next slide that I'm going to show you. Okay, this is one thing that actually alerts me, or when I feel that it's something quite new. So you can see of which 9 of the units being transacted, 6 of them hovered at an average PSF of more than $3,000 PSF. Okay, this is some of the highlights that I'm going to show. Just a recap on sorry, just a minute, yeah. Okay, never mind. Just a while. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, just a while. Okay, yes, sorry, this slide. So just a recap on Q4 2023, where brand new houses within the D10, D11 has transacted across the $4,000 per PS, based on PSF have transacted more than $4,000 PSF, all right, for D10 and D11. Okay, this time round, a resale unit in D11 has crossed the $4,450. Okay, this is a smaller house type along the main road of this Thompson Road. So with that being said, so price, the affordability, okay, versus PSF. Okay. So next, I'm going to hand over the airtime to my colleague, Cindric. Okay. Sorry, and about for the bull run, okay, this is where I mentioned this, okay, this earlier slide, sorry, pardon me. So with this $3,000 in terms of PSF growth, would this carry on in D10? Or, okay, would this carry on in District 10 itself? You can see 3,000 for 6 houses that are being sold. And all this price that's being transacted with more than $4,000. Okay. Okay, now I hand over to Cindric for District 21 and 23.
Okay. Thanks, Will. I'm here to talk to you about the transactions for D21-23 this quarter. So first, let's touch on District 21, the 5 main highlights. Okay, before that, District 21 is broken into all these different subzones lah. Jalan Jurong Kecil, Doi, Sunset, and Upper Danien. All right. Now, the first thing I want to highlight is that hang on, sorry, let me get my screen. Yeah. Okay, the most significant, right, this quarter, right, District 21 kind of suffers the most significant drop in terms of the volume. So as you notice over here, actually there are only 5 transactions this quarter. which is quite a huge drop compared to 17, the last quarter. And you look at across all the different house types as well, at the bottom. So significant drop, 70+% versus previous quarter, and then versus Q1, 2, 3, right? It's like also around 70+%. And this is across all the various house types. The last time such a transaction was recorded, interestingly, was in Q4 2019. 2019, if I didn't recall wrongly, is just right before the onset of COVID. Yeah. It was where only 5 transactions was recorded in that quarter. Okay, I'll kind of touch on a little bit in my last point later on, point number 5. Okay, so the next thing I want to highlight would be how come? Okay. What's that? No, the background. Yeah. Sorry, pardon the technical error. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing I want to highlight will be, okay, basically, terrace prices and PSF are still increasing, despite the fact that the volume has dropped significantly. If you look at Jurong Kechil and Toei, where the 3 terrace houses was transacted, the average price are still actually increasing, though at a small percentage point. And then for the PSF for Toei area, the average PSF is actually crossed 2,000 mark at 2,280. All right. So, and then overall, of course, in terms of average sale price and also the both average PSF has shown increment. Okay, with the average per square foot crossing the 2,000 mark. Okay. So they have they've all surpassed the 2,000 price range, right? The third thing I want to highlight would be it's pretty obvious that this time around for this quarter, there were only terrace houses and semi-Ds that were being transacted. There was an absence of detached houses and GCB, the larger house types of transaction. Okay, as can witness over here. Right, so the highest transaction value recorded in Q1 now was just 6.55 million, which is around the highest, just the semi-D price. Okay. Okay, next, the price range wise then for all these 5 transactions this quarter only hovers around the $4 million mark and right below 7 million mark. So this was all the transactions, the 5 of them within this particular quarter. Now let's talk about the next point, which is the more interesting one, right? So the asking versus the transacted price. I was just doing a bit of analysis regarding why such muted transaction volume. Okay, and I realized one thing. It could be could a huge price gaps, right, between the asking prices and transacted prices be the factor that resulted in a significant drop in volume? So yes, we have shown you the transacted price, but what about the asking prices? So part of it was after some digging, I realized that the asking prices right now, some sellers, unfortunately, within D21 are perhaps a little bit not so realistic. And it could be the close proximity to 21 is within close proximity to Holland area. The Sunset very close to Holland. And then the Dalian area, the Hua Guan, the Sian Tuan, the Upper Dalian area houses are pretty close to Bukit Timah, the D11, D10 district. So that could be a reason why they influence the sellers, calling for higher prices, running away price. That and if you based on that versus the actual transacted price, the gap could be pretty stark and significant. That's why that could be a reason that is actually pushing buyers away, or maybe causing them to have a wait and see approach. Some of the examples I could come up with, okay, look at the first one over here, Sunset, 41 Sunset View was sold around last year, September, at price of 9.4 mil, and the PSF was 2,125. Now let's look at a similar type of house currently in the market right now selling, okay, versus now this one I wouldn't put the address, but it's also Sunset area, same locale, similar type of condition, detached as well. Okay, square footage about the same, for about 4,500 square feet. Okay, even the built up pretty much the same. And however, look at the asking price, 9 mil versus 14 mil, and the PSF is 3,000 PSF. So this is something that I realized. So perhaps if the seller were to lower his stance, his expectations a bit, then maybe we could see more volume, more transaction being recorded, right? The next one I could find was this Incong Drive, corner terrace. Okay, was transacted at 5.2 million, averaging about almost 1,005 PSF, versus one of pretty similar condition house, also a corner terrace. Okay, both freehold, land 3,000-ish. The asking is about 6 mil, a million more, and the average, the PSF wise, is about $500 per square foot higher. So let's delve further. Okay, the next example is this Hua Guan house transacted at 9 mil, 1,007 plus PSF, close to 1,008. Okay, Hua Guan being an Upper Danyan area. Now, in the market right now, another similar house in terms of land size. This one is a detached, okay? But the PSF, you notice the difference. And the start asking price, 17 mil. And the PSF is 2,005. So, I mean, buyers are all savvy. See, when they want to make an offer or transact a house, they will always base their price on what has been transacted. So with such huge gap and disparity, I think this could be just one of the factors that is causing the buyer to stay away and approach a hold-on method. Okay, last but not least, last example, this Sian Tuan house. Okay, semi-D, land 4,000 plus, bid up 7,000, asking 10 mil, sorry, transacted at 10 mil. So PSF 2,100 plus versus one, that is Upper Danyan. Okay, calling the same price, similar in terms of specs, everything, almost similar, okay? Specs, land, in terms of land specs, everything, the PSF all the same. However, the huge difference, the stark difference is the condition of the house. The one that was transacted at Sian Tuan, right, is move-in ready house with a pool. However, the one asking similar spec, asking similar price, etc., it's a one-story house. It's an old house that needs to be torn down and rebuilt. So yeah, so I hope you can see the disparity. So, however, having said that, now let's talk about District 21. Then will the bull run then carry on? The ironic thing is I feel it may still for the rest of 2024, the price in terms of PSF and in terms of quantum may still increase. And once, because, okay, earlier I mentioned about the close proximity to D20. D21 is within close proximity to D10 and D11. Now, those who are really looking for a house within this central area, right, especially Bukit Timah area, they may find that the Bukit Timah, the Holland area price are basically just maybe pretty much too high and out of reach, and they will consider District 21. So eventually, right, should once the sellers who are selling these houses starts to correct their expectations, I believe the volume will come back in, and when the volume comes back in, right, the the PSF and the quantum will continue to still pick up. There's still rooms to grow because versus the central district, it's really still a lot cheaper, right? So that's the peculiar thing about District 20, the interesting thing about District 21. So that's all I have for you for District 21. Now let's move on to D23, West District. Once again, D23 is broken up into a few different subzones, as you can see over here. Okay, in the essence of time, I'll move faster. Now, the first thing I want to highlight is the drop in volume across all house types. Okay, similar to this sister District 21, there's also a pretty huge drop in terms of volume, right? So you can see over here, and it's also across all the house types. Okay, for this quarter. Okay, the next, okay, so the decrease in transaction across all house type, yeah. Will this trend continue for the rest of 24? So this is something we need to observe in the coming months, right? Terrace continues to dominate these 23 transaction, right? True to its nature of District 23, being a upgrader kind of district, right? Catering to more mass market buyers, it's always the norm that the terrace house always takes the cake for the most number of transactions for District 23, right? So because it caters to mass market, so-called mass market options, more budget-friendly landed properties, most of which are 99. I mean, it's a district that caters to the most number of 99-year leasehold terrace houses in this district, right? So it's more budget-friendly. So therefore, yeah, terrace tends to always dominate. And the 99-year leasehold, as mentioned earlier, actually accounts for 82% of the transaction this quarter. Very significant numbers. Most of the transaction, only one for freehold, one for 999, right? Once again, it speaks about the nature of District 23 that caters to a lot of upgraders and budget-friendly landed properties, right? So no surprise for a district that offers most 99-year leasehold properties. The fourth thing I want to highlight is that PSF is, however, is still inching upwards despite the slower volume growth. If you look at all the various house types right now, you look at the terrace, the semi-Ds especially. Okay, in terms of a PSF, they are still growing, and then of course the total average in terms of quantum and in terms of the average PSF, they are still increasing for D23. Okay, and with the rumors that the Feds will not be lowering interest rates this year, so will this momentum continue? Because that is one important factor to take note when buyer buy houses and they take loans. Of course, their concern is also the interest rates. If the interest rates continue to hover at this point, will this then be the trend? So that's something we need to find out, observe more in the coming months. However, my take, which I'll highlight after this slide, will be, okay, first, fifth point, the dominant price range for this quarter all hovers around just 2 billion and the under $6 million range, right? So the bulk of the transaction, 90% of them are all within this price range. So once again, yeah, D23 catering to buyers who are more budget conscious, right? So in summary, do I feel that D23, just now I talk about the Feds not decreasing interest rate. So then will the bull run continue for the rest of 2024? My take is still quite likely. Why? Because D23 being a district that has the most number of 99-year leasehold properties, buyer who are looking to upgrade into a landed properties, and 99-year leasehold being the one that counts for 80% of transactions, I feel the 99-year leasehold property will be the one that causes the District 23 prices to still increase in terms of quantum in terms of PSF as well. You know, earlier Willie mentioned also quickly that he mentioned that, you know, doesn't mean that you look for 99, doesn't mean that you look for cheap properties means the price won't increase. No, because why? Because other than that, there's no other choice. If they really want a landed house, if they want leasehold, they want some landed, then that's it. Other than that, probably, yeah, they may fall for cluster lah. That's the only other options they have. All right, so that's all I have for you for District 23. I will hand the time now to Jason. Thank you.
Hi, yeah. Hi, thank you. Thank you, Cedric. Yeah, good evening. Jason here. Yeah, I'll share with you on D13. Basically, for for the benefit of the what we call those who have actually joined this time round. So just to share how the what we call we segment the D13. Basically on the Brother Heights, Sinet, McPherson, and majority of the transaction come from Brother and Sinet, and you can see further later. In fact, for this quarter, we can see that the transaction drives, there's a surge in transaction, and I will say this is one of the strongest performing quarters in comparison to the past 2 years. Even as you can see below, the 2023, every quarter is hovering between in the range of 12 to 17, and this quarter we are seeing 21. So you can see a rise of surge of 200% compare last quarter, and easily more than 50% compared to Q1. And where this what we call surge come from, if you can see below, the surge mainly come from the terraces, and majority, as you can see, compared to last quarter, it come from the semi-D and detached, where you can see it's about easily more than 100%. Yeah. Second highlight to share, what you can see here is a surge, really a surge in detached as compared to the last quarter, or even compared to the 2023 quarters. One of the main reasons we see for the surge, probably people looking at the original condition for them to rebuild, to take advantage of the low PSF in this district for these quarters. Below, I will show you some examples on some of the original, as you can see the next slide. Yeah, you can see some of these are just some of the examples for the detached, mainly for rebuild. As you can see, this is very original, single story, all these are single story, good for rebuild. And if you look at the size is easily more than 7,000 or even up to 12,000 square feet. So these are very good size for people who actually rebuild, split into 2 semi-Ds, or even to the extent like Chiltern is in the bungalow zone. You can even after splitting subdivide, you can still subdivide into 2 bungalow. So that's one of the reasons why I think probably this quarter people is jumping into District 3, District 13 for the detached. As such, we can see the transaction search for detached. Next to share, when we are looking at actually where the search come from, so beside the what we call Terrace, beside Terrace and all these 70, we are looking at the location where the search come from. As I mentioned earlier, Brother and Sinet is always one of the highest, but you can see the last quarter, December, I mean probably Christmas season or whatever. So that's the lowest transaction, and in semi, in Brother and Estate was the lowest. So coming to Q1, there's a very high surge of easily more than 200%. And again, where is all this come from? Brother Height, just now I've shared. Brother Height mainly come from detached. Yeah, the transaction come from, or Sinet Estate, mainly the transaction come from Terrace, because CNET are actually so-called generally cluster of those Terrace and semi-D transaction over there, mainly on terraces a lot. Yeah. So these are again some of the examples that I'm showing you in Branded, in CNET Estate and in Brother Estate. So as you can see, CNET mainly closing the last quarters was actually all the terraces. Yeah, and some of them are even in original condition, and likewise for Brother. Generally, Brother Estate generally, I will say over here are original +2 moving condition. Next, to share with you on the price after talking about so much on volume, let me share with you on the price for D13, especially on terraces. On Terrace, as you can see, there's a surge in the price. Okay, maintaining generally, if you see from Brother all the way, all segment have actually seen an increase on average of 38%. But on the other side, on the other hand, we are looking at PSF maintaining 2,000, some even to the extent dropping to below 2,000. So as such, and now, I mean, there's a drop of 9%. So average right now, we are still seeing about 1,000, hovering in the range of 1,009 to 2,000 range. Lastly, on the D13, you can see a clear sign on the last quarter. This is mainly terraces, so hovering in the range of up to 4 mil. On the other side, on this quarter, we are seeing generally the range are actually spreading. January from 4 million onwards. As you can see, it contributes more than 60% for this what we call more than 4 million, 4 million onwards. So in summary, what we can say actually on D13, if you ask me about D13, whether this year, so-called are we going to the bull run? Are we seeing the bull run continue to go up or maintain? I would say in D13, we will probably maintain in the range of like probably plus or minus 1 to 2%, that kind of price range. Yeah, you will not see too much changes for this quarter for 2024 for D13. So this is actually some of the examples of the so-called transacted price for D13. You can see brand new is also easily hovering more than 4 million, or even the original condition are easily more than 4 million. So much for D13. Now I'm jumping into D14. Same thing, I would like to share. D13 segment mainly come from only 3 areas, Geylang, Kembangan, and Eunos. Majority of the transaction come from Kembangan estate. Not so much of Eunos, normally 1 or 2, but sometimes you can see some in Geylang. Okay, first to highlight, in contrast to D13, you can feel that actually you can see there's a huge difference for D14 in terms of transaction, drop to single digit. Again, this is comparison of the past 2 years. We are seeing generally easily more than 10 to average of 17 or even highest, but this quarter we are seeing the lowest is below 10, and it's only 7 units. And where this 7 units come from, it's basically the terrace and detached. As what we mentioned just now, where this come from is mainly Kembangan estate. But on the other side, we are seeing Kembangan, there's also on compared to the last quarter, there's a drop, a dip of actually more than 50%. Yeah, compared to last quarter. Yeah, next to share was the semi-D, as you can see, there's an absence of semi-Ds for this quarter for D14. It's totally zero. One of the main reasons is probably buyer shifting to Terrace as one of the entry level for them to upgrading from their condos or HDB to landed. The next one to share, I mean, on the price again, as you can see on D14 Terrace, is still hovering in the range of not extremely over to like 4.1 or 4.2. It's still on the average of 4 million. On the other side, PSF, we still maintain to cross 2,000 PSF. These are just some of the examples. As you can see, most of them crossing 4 million and 2,000 PSF. Over this slide, this highlight just to highlight to you on the hovering of this what we call PSF from the last quarter is actually moving towards more towards into 1,007. Yeah, 1,007 and more than 2,000 right now. You are seeing there's a little bit rise. Last but not least, for me to share on this District 15, on price range, averagely, we are seeing still hovering in the range of 3 to 4 million. So once again, if you ask me to predict on the bull run, I will say it will still maintain for D13 for the whole year, probably in the range of plus or minus 1 to 2%, that kind of price range. Yeah. Next, I would like to pass to District 15. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Good evening. I'm Michael. I will cover District 15 as well as 16. The area for 15 you can see here is Katong, where the high value transaction take place here. Juchat, Dorokrau, and Siglap, which actually stretch from the canal all the way up to below South Avenue 1. Transaction in District 15 had gone up by 35%. What we see here is a high demand in the semi-detached. It goes by from 4 to 14, a good 100%. Why is that so? This is because of the transaction value. If you look at it, the value actually gone up by 17.5%, but the PSF actually dropped by 0.5%. That is something that is attractive, and that is one possible reason we have more people buying semi-D. These are some of the transactions that take place, ranging from 6.9 to 5.7, sorry, 6.7, and as high as 8.3 million. Now for detached, to buy a detached in the 615, you are looking at a PSF of 2003. In 2022, it was only 2,000, just above 2,000, and it has gone up to 23 for the whole of 23, and for quarter one, it's also hit the so-called 2.3 marks. Some of the transactions that take place here. These are examples of the detached house that was transacted. The first one on the left is 17.5 million. In the center, the center one is 11 million, and it goes as high as 20 million with a bigger land area. Significant transaction in District 15. We are looking at a transaction that is above 7 million mark. In the last quarter, quarter 4, we have 7 transactions versus an increase of 15 transactions in terms of value. The last highlight here is about Terrace House. We can see that although the volume actually had gone up by 18%, but actually the value as well as the PSF have dropped. And this you can see is because of some of the transactions that take place here. As you can see from this slide, it's interesting to note that the transaction in the Siglap area are well below the 3,000 value mark. It is a drop of 16.4%, and even the PSF has gone down to 11.3. And from this transaction example, you can see all these are in the Siglap area. The value transacted is actually much lower, below the so-called 4 million mark, 3.1 and also the 3.2. With the last one over the right side down here, even well below, it's only 2.6 million. I will now go into the 616. The 616, we have still the 5 same area, Senate, Jiu Drive, Eastwood, Tanah Merah Kecil, which is north of the Upper Changi Road, and Guan Sun, Tambot area. Transaction volume has gone up marginally by 14%, and attribute to increase in the terrace as well as detached. In terms of value, we also see an increase. For Terrace House, the value actually had gone up to 3.88 mil, and this is by far the highest. If you look at the previous transaction that took place last year, the whole of last year, it was 3.6, 3.5 first half, and second half is 2.3, 2.6. And for this quarter, quarter one, it's gone up to 3.8. For detached, similarly, we see an increase over the 2 years. It was 7.1 in 2022, gone up to 8.9 last year, and for quarter one, 9.4 mil. Likewise, the PSS has also gone up to 1,031 square feet, 13 square feet PSF. Another interesting point is that there is actually a drop of transaction in this Q Drive Limau area for both quarter, last quarter as well as last quarter of 2023. Previously, the transaction has always been on the high side. And if you look at the charts below here, for the whole of 2022, there were 41 transactions. For last year, 23, it was 22 transactions. So one of the reasons probably because most of these houses are already sold. So we have got less house to sell in that area. Value-wise, we see a drop, right? I mean, a drop in terms of numbers, less transaction below the so-called 3 mil in the quarter one compared to the previous quarter. The bulk of transaction actually is between 3 to 7 mil. As you can see from the figure here, there were 8 transactions in the last quarter of 2023 versus quarter one, which is 12, making up close to 75% transaction. For PSF, below the 1,000 mark, we also see a reduction from 2 to 1, meaning to say that value-wise in the 616 has gone up. And the bulk of the transaction actually is between from 1001 to 2000. As you can see from the figure below here, there were 10 transactions in Q4 versus Q1 2024 14, picking up 87%. And the last highlight I want to share here is that it's actually a gap, narrowing of gap between freehold and leasehold prices. One of the main reasons is because the prices of leasehold has gone up. In this case, compared quarter to quarter, a rise of 71%. Similarly, the PSF has also gone up. The difference is that last quarter, the gap was 3.2 mil, 3.2 mil. And then this quarter, sorry, back. Right, sorry for that. You can see down here that Q1, the gap is 3.2. I mean, not Q1, last quarter of 2024, 2023 is 3.2, and it narrows down to 2.6. For the PSF, the gap is even lower, right? It was 848 PSF versus the most recent quarter is 405. And some of the examples that I want to share, is that yeah. Okay, for leasehold transaction, we see a 2.3 million transaction versus a freehold, same type of terrace. And there is actually a different gap, a price gap of 1.25 mil. What about semi-detached? Semi-detached, we also see the narrowing of a gap for 99 years semi-D, 3 mil versus just over 4 mil freehold. And the gap is 1,000 or 1 mil different. And the last one, we do not have any leasehold transaction, but they are freehold. Detached house, lowest transacted was 7.5 mil, and the highest is 10.6 mil. And the different gap is even wider, right? 3.1. With that, I end District 16, and for this 2024 bull run, we see a possibility of prices in District 16 continuing to rise, because compared to the PSF and the value of property transacted in District 16, they are much lower than as compared to District 15. So in other words, there are room for improvement. With that, I thank you. Ready?
Right, thank you, gentlemen, Michael and Will, Sean, Jason, as well, of course, Cindric as well. So we've taken almost an hour. I hope it's as comprehensive as you want it to be, right? It's as detailed as we want it to be. In fact, there's more details, but we can share just 5 highlights, all right? So with this, how do we summarize basically the various districts? Just now we've given our prediction of what we think, when you segment it, what were the various asset class or segments, right? So for the districts, this is a quick summary. So most of the districts, we feel that it's going to be on course with the overall market. Okay, it's not a big change. So you have like basically the East region, 19 and 20 as well. The districts that we feel a bit more bullish are basically 10, 11. For reasons mainly, as Will has explained, I think the GCBs in Q1, for example, they are coming back. We see also a lot of some of the older houses buying, but the likelihood of some of the newer houses being sold will come in and catch up for both districts, right? In this district, just to summarize, among other reasons. And as what Cindric has mentioned, 21, 23, I think the demand has been very consistent, and the gap between, I think, the 99 years and the freehold ones, I think there's still some gaps to close up, which means that this will actually brings up all the 99, especially in District 23. Okay, District 15 is a pretty bullish one, together with Big Brothers and 10 and 11. Okay, the only exception that I think we'll be more pessimistic in District 28, because like what Sean has mentioned, if you take out just Poland collection, the normal, I think the freehold resale ones, for example, I think the transaction volume are not looking that strong. Okay, just to summarize. If you need more insights on any of these districts, just feel free to go to your consultants, or if not, who have invited you, right? Or if not, you can approach the district IC. Okay, with this, we've come to the end. I think before that, I just want to do a quick conclusion and, of course, our recommendations for buyers and sellers. If you have followed us in the last quarter, a webinar, you will know some of these are not new, right? For example, I think it's been 3 years. We should come to the realization that normalization or stabilization of the market, I think it is expected. Okay, what is important here, especially now we have buyers here, we have sellers here. Centric mentioned, for example, I think this also happens to many other districts. All right, I think one reason why the property is not sold or the transaction volume is down for a particular district is there's a distinction between, there's still a big gap between it is asking price and the sale price. We can discern the gap because we monitor the market. All right, so if you are representing sellers, our fellow agents, or if you are the seller here, I think it's good. We don't need you to sell below market or at fire sale, for example, but at least know what is the expected price based on what has been expected after comparing all the other non-price qualities, like the condition of the house, the build. Just now you see with photos, by the way, tell 1,000 words. We have a lot more to show you, but unfortunately, those are just the examples we show. So you need to compare like for like before you know what is the right price. Just simply asking for the highest price may not help. All right. Likewise for the buys as well. If you're just looking at the lower side of the prices, you need to understand some of these lower prices. Just now, for example, at C Club, those are all single-story house. You cannot go to a 2-story or 2.5-story house renovated and expect the same PSF or the same price, for example. Okay, I'm just talking about condition. There are many other factors. My team and I consistently compare about 20 non-price qualities. All right, to discern how to value a this landed property properly, right, and fairly. To know this, again, go to any of my HLD consultants. Okay, so to summarize here, just on notes, you can again screenshot this were presented before. Segments that will continue to grow. Some are like terraces, 99-year houses, new houses, less than 5 million houses. Some of these districts that were mentioned. All right. Those that will start to weaken the detached, strata landed, more than 5 million houses, District 28, for example. Again, don't take this, please take this with a pinch of salt and don't take this at face value, oh, all detached will drop, etc. Please combine these two factors, all right, these two summaries together with the second point, like you mentioned, okay? The landed market is a very, very complex, complicated market. That's why my team and I spend and invest a lot of time to understand. Even after the market for so many years, there's still certain things that we are learning. And if you're still entering the market, you just entered the market for the first time, even if you have stayed in the house for 20 years, you may not know the market as well because it's constantly moving. All right. Last but not least, we have always said this and always advocate this most landed properties. There's one reason that we like, right? You buy this as a whole. Okay, it's not just investment property, it's not an asset. So whether you're buying or selling, do also consider your decision should be based on your personal and family needs rather than just relying based on price. We have come across so many examples where buyers are willing to pay more if the house is nice, all right? Sellers are willing to accept less because they found a better house or there's just a stronger motivation to move on, etc. Okay, so do consider that in mind. We don't have time for Q&A, but the good thing is we have received a lot. I think today we have almost, a record number of questions in our panel chat group earlier. If there's a pressing question, you could ask now. My panelists are still here. If not, I believe we'll answer just now more than 10 questions or more, all right, over the course of the 2 hours. If not, again, you can channel your questions to any of the consultants or Huttons agents who invited you. If not, any of my panelists here, my leaders, all right? Last thing to do, 1 minute. Could you just do us a favor and let us know, okay? How do you find it? Again, this is a new poll. Last time we just put yes or no. If you could just let us know now in terms of grading. If you don't find it useful at all, please put a 1. If it's very useful, you can put a 10. Let me see whether is it this question. Pardon me. Unfortunately, I could not launch this. Perhaps, again, we have some technical errors. We really need companies help. Maybe you can just type it in, right? Just type 1, 2, 3 to 10. Some of you could, as well as we can have a what do you call this, a assessment of that, right? Just take 5-10 seconds. Somebody raise your hand. You may want to ask a question, SFW or something. Yeah.
Can show the previous slide.
Show the previous slide. Which slide? Is it this slide?
Oh yeah.
This slide? Okay. Screenshot again. It's a summary, by the way. All right. First point was mentioned, I think, with this, it's like a starting of the year. We mentioned that. Second and fifth point is important. It's like main advice. Of course, every decision you make, you want a deeper analysis, deeper consultation. Come and speak to any of us. Usually we meet a client, sometimes 1 hour is not even enough because there's so many things to discuss, all right? Whether you're buying or you're selling. Okay. Can you put your score down? Sorry, we can't do the poll anymore. Okay. Thank you so much. If not, this will be probably my second last slide. Again, a reminder on all the QR codes that you can record down, go to our website, go to our Facebook, etc. All right, for I think the latest information. This also, by the way, will be uploaded to our YouTube channel probably by middle of next week. In case you miss, you or any of your friends or family members want to revisit this. All right, it will stay on the air for the next 3 months until the next webinar. Speaking of which, until the next webinar, my name is Willie, and together with my team from Huttons Lender Division, wish you a good night and hope to see you in the market soon. Okay, good night.